Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to this week's Gift of Healing TV. And I apologise for being late. My computer checked me out just before we were due to go live. And of course, we all had to get back on again. And I am welcome because I have two guests with me this week from New Zealand. So when I say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, it's because it's morning here in the UK and it's evening for my guests in New Zealand. I'm joined by Linda Woodgate and Janine Savient. I'm going to introduce you to both of them, and then we're going to get into our conversation about and apologising. So I'm going to start with Linda because hers is the bio that's showing for me at the moment. If my computer screen will let me see it. I'm having great fun with the computer this morning. I apologise. Linda Woodgate has been a natural health practitioner for over 20 years, bringing her past experiences in the forces, corporate and media with her, allowing her to share and teach in a relaxed and informal way. She has observed and felt the levels of stress increasing everywhere, at home, work, the office and gym. We create our own personal version of stress in everything we do. So by meshing components of several modalities, Linda has responded to this with a program specifically aimed at reducing stress and moving moods in very easy, fast and fun ways. Linda's deep and compassionate understanding of others is reflected in her favourite expression: live, laugh and love your moments. Linda, whoops. It's all right, I want to try and get rid of that. Everything's blocking. Linda, welcome to the programme. Lovely to have you with us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sara. It's great to be here.
Thank you. And our second guest is Janine Savient. Janine is an intuitive visionary seer, group facilitator, teacher of heart-centered self-awareness, international speaker, and a messenger for love. Her knowing of reality is broad and deep and goes beyond it's too early in the morning, what most know as their own reality. Janine is the trigger, the reminder, that one that carries the light through the dark tunnel of remembering, supporting those ready to move forward on the journey of self. For most have been veiled from themselves for eons of time. With her clarity of vision, deep insight, open heart, and love for all, Janine walks beside those ready to undertake the greatest journey they will ever take, the journey through their personal truth and into their magnificence. Time with Janine, gain a deeper understanding of yourself and your life. Who are you? What is this life really all about? You will discover what is holding you back from having the life of your dreams. You will discover that you hold the absolute power to be, do, and have anything your heart desires. Janine, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sara. It's wonderful to be here with you. Of course.
Thank you. Right, folks, because of the little problem I had at the beginning, please, welcome to being with us. Please feel free, if you've got any comments, you want to let us know that you're there, please put them in the little box. That would be lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Sorry, when should we apologise and to whom? So maybe it's about, can we start with what we actually understand about the word sorry? Maybe that's a really good place to start, because I think we've all been brought up, I hope we've all been brought up to say sorry. But when were we taught to say sorry? And so I'm going to come to you first, Janine. And let's just explore the word sorry for a while, and then we can go on to it deeper. So I hope that works for you. So Janine, what do you read into the word sorry?
Well, for me, words every word holds a vibration. Every word is an energy. So the word sorry can be used as a very empowering word or a very disempowering word, depending on whether it comes from a heart-centered place or comes from the mind. So it's a word that, it's a term that comes as part of forgiveness, and the power of forgiveness is unfathomable in its reach, and whole wars could have been stopped before they commenced if the word sorry was used. So for me, when we're a child, we're told to say sorry, when to say sorry and when not to say sorry. From my own past experience, as a child, I remember often being told to go back and say I was sorry to somebody. And so I believe that if we say we're sorry because we've been told to say we're sorry, it's not coming from the genuine heart-centered place. So so the difference is that if I was to say sorry from my heart, I'd say, I'm so sorry. But if I say it from my mind, I say, I'm sorry. Or just sorry. I mightn't even own it because I'm being told to say it. So, I mean, for me, sorry is a huge area to explore.
Absolutely. Linda?
Well, I think sorry is sort of overpowered and overused. And I agree with Janine, you know, one of the things we always had to say when we were a child was, I'm sorry. If you spilt the milk, you're sorry, but it was an accident. You wouldn't do it on purpose. And we use the word, I'm sorry, with a but on the end of it, so that it means nothing. It's justification of whatever it was you did before then. So, as Janine said, using the word sorry, it depends on your tone of voice that you're using it with and what you're saying it for. And sometimes you're saying it having had an outburst, and the outburst is better not said so that you can actually not have to say you're sorry. And sometimes we use it taking responsibility for other people and maybe other people's faces in that, that we perceive we've upset them. Or so to me, it's quite an overused word. And in some belief systems, I truly believe that they say they're sorry and then they can just get on with what they did and do it again. So long as they actually keep on saying sorry, they can continue to be this person that actually doesn't get on with everybody. So, that's my take on sorry so far.
Actually, very valid point. I was raised as a Catholic, and it seems to be as if you go to confession, you say you're sorry, and then people go out and then do exactly the same thing again. It's like, I can apologise, I can go to church, but so I appear to be living, by going to church, a pious life, if you want to use that terminology, but providing I keep going to church and pretending to be good, it doesn't matter what I do outside. And it's just like, it doesn't work like that. You know, so yeah, as you said, Linda, sorry is an overused word, but sorry is an empowering and disempowering word as well. You've both hit from different perspectives the nail on the head, because this is a much bigger conversation than I think people would really think that it could be. So it's when should you apologise? Because I think this is a huge question. When should you apologise? And when shouldn't you? And I suppose the other aspect we can go into is the how. So maybe if we go into a when for the minute, because I know this can actually be a really big question for people about when should we apologise? So Linda, because Janine started, let's come back to you about the when.
Yes, like Janine was saying, like we've just been saying, depends where the sorry comes from. And for me, it is, you know, the subconscious mind to me is a filing system that files everything we've ever learnt, everything we've ever said. So sometimes when we go into our filing system, which is totally full of defense mechanisms that we've created over our life, so whether they're jealousy, hatred, upset, whatever they are, then there are times when we react from there. So we'll react, whether it's an outburst, outrage, and then we will have to apologise because we have been outraged or we've said something that is what perceived is not appropriate. So we would apologise because we've gone into our filing system and used an emotion from that filing system to actually justify our existence or justify who we are, what we are and where we are. Whereas if we actually stay in the moment and actually listen, we will respond rather than react. And so to me, that's a point when you don't have to say you're sorry because you've actually responded to the situation rather than reacted from past experiences and, you know, blown up.
Yeah, absolutely. Janine.
So when do we say we're sorry? When we mean it. Simply as that, when we mean it. And if we don't mean it, but we say it, then we can build resentment up in the fact that we, for some reason, felt that we had to say it. And so it comes from a totally different place in us, and the energy of that sorry is felt, not only by ourselves, because every word that we speak holds an energy, and it floods first and foremost every cell in our own bodies before that word, that energy goes out and touches the other. So if sorry comes from a totally dishonest place or unauthentic place, that is going to be felt completely by the other one. So if we don't want resentment to build up, but we're wanting to heal a situation, then we say sorry, but we mean it. We must always mean that word. It's a huge healing word.
Absolutely. And sort of picking up on a couple of points here, it was Linda, you said about sort of our reaction. I think what we've got to realise is we've got to listen to what another person said and then try and step back from that, because if our reaction is to go into defence or overdrive or whatever, hang on, is that person's stuff? I don't need to react to that because it's not actually aimed at me. So my reaction to that doesn't have to be this defense mode, because actually it's got nothing to do with me. And so in that respect, the only person to me you should be apologizing to is yourself for being affected by that individual's. There may be some real home truths that are said. I'm sorry, truth is really, really important to me. And if you've heard something from somebody and you're really in doubt as to, whoa, what's all about? The best thing to do is to stop and to ask, did you mean what I heard? Not what you said, because their terminology, they knew what they meant, but we may not have understood what they meant. So by stepping back and by asking a question and we have to rephrase things. Words can be so misunderstood. So the stepping back, but we also have to realize a lot of stuff is other people's stuff and has nothing to do with us. But, it's also that sorry is sort of, to me, is if you've said something that's hurt somebody, and I suppose this goes into the how for me, is I'm really sorry that you how have you taken what I've just said? What I've just said? because I don't know whether you've understood what I actually meant. So you can be sorry that somebody seems to have misinterpreted or been offended by something that wasn't intended to cause offence, and that can be genuine. But you're sorry the way they feel, the way they are, but you're not apologising for something that you've done per se, because actually you haven't intentionally done anything to hurt that person. So I don't know whether that makes sense to you both. So I do think this as you said, sorry is so overused, and it's overused for all the wrong reasons, for all the right reasons. So I know I've chucked a lot into the mix there, but maybe it's just a matter of coming to back to anything you want to feedback on that. And again, the how about apologising. So we'll come back to you, Janine.
Okay, so how we apologise, there's many different ways of apologising, and it's not always just with words. Like I could walk up to somebody that I wanted to apologise to, and I could simply touch them, just simply lay my hand on their arm, look them in the eye, and smile, and they would feel my forgiveness or my apology within that look of the eye, within that touch of the hand. So it's not always words that that need to come with a sorry. So there's many different ways. I mean, even a letter. Writing a beautiful letter of apology is another way of doing it, or a beautiful card. A gift of any sort as way of apology is another way. So the how is, and it's also, once again, with the how is how you say it, how you present it, and the body language that you use, the tone, the inflection, the attitude that comes with it. It's all part of the parcel of genuineness as you convey your apology. So for me, being deeply into the energetic level of life, I would feel, and I'm sure most others would too, the immediacy if it's not a true apology, if it's not being delivered with authenticity and truth. So
no, brilliant. We have got a comment, but I'm going to come to you first, Linda, before I read it.
Okay, thanks. It's interesting that you would say that, because if we just go back to what I said, if you go back to not even saying something that is going to require an apology or a sorry. So like I said, if you go back, if you react from your filing system, from your subconscious mind, then it's an emotional reaction. And therefore, there may require an apology, because what you've done is put your emotion on the line to the other person who's going to react to your emotion. You're going to react to theirs, and then it sort of blows up in your face. So if you come back from that and actually respond to the person, to me, you are responsible for how you speak, what you say, how you say it, and when you say it. The total responsibility is for you. And you're not responsible for the person's reaction or response to you. It is your responsibility to be the best in your truth and your reality. And, there's a lot of people out there that do not see your truth, who do not understand your reality. And they will find that quite challenging, offensive, different ways where they will walk away or they will get agitated. But if you're coming from, your truth, your integrity, and then, but we take responsibility for people's faces because they're sulking or they've got angry or their eyebrows are knotted, and we take responsibility for that and go, oh my goodness, I've really upset that person. But if you have come from an emotional place, you deserve everything you get back. Whereas if you come from your total truth, as Janine was saying, to me there is no requirement for an apology at all.
And I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, when we react to other people's stuff, we're reacting with our stuff, and we're not acting from that place within the heart. Pat says hi to us all. So lovely to have you with us, Pat. Great. Thank you for being here with us. And Pat also says, we are becoming more and more articulate. Love this. Love this. And I think that's meant to be quote. Oh, I know you think you understand what you thought I said, but I'm not sure you realise that what you heard is not what I meant. And it's which is exactly what I've just said. If you haven't, if you think somebody hasn't understood what you meant, it's not, did you mean what you said? Of course, people meant what they said in the majority of cases. What they haven't necessarily done is hear what you've meant. So you don't ask the question, did you mean what you said? Did you mean what I heard? And I think that we could go a long way with teaching people, children, if they're feeling upset by something someone has said. And don't get me wrong, children are great. They're on a huge learning curve of life. They really are. But they can be the cruelest. And I don't think they mean to be, but children can be so cruel to each other. In some cases it's not unintentional. In a lot of other cases it is unintentional. But it's teaching children. And what do we say? If there are negative people in your life, there are people, just don't have anything to do with them. Let them get on with it themselves. You don't have to take everybody else's stuff on board. Most people do not listen well. They listen to respond, not just listen and receive. So, thank you, Pat. Thank you so much for that. So, all right, Linda, let's come back to you, because, of course, there's a lot being said here, and I'm sure you've got more to share.
well, I probably have. We use an expression when someone's died, sorry for your loss. And, what does that mean? Is it something we're just saying because we think it's a good thing to say, that we heard it on TV or we heard someone else say it? Is it a loss? Why do we say sorry for your loss? Or, But I love, as I said earlier, when you hear yourself saying, sorry, but, that's a time really to understand that you're justifying your existence, saying, sorry, but, the train was late, or sorry, but I missed breakfast, I don't know. But using it as a way of justifying where you are at that moment and what you're doing. So, and maybe, if we can say sorry if we get someone's name wrong. I can see the apology being there. Yeah.
Oh, yes. The number of people, and it's the spelling of my name. The number of people that will put an H on the end of it, just because it's Sarah, doesn't melt its spell. But do you know what? I've got over that. If it happens, it happens. I've got over it. But I think that the sorry for your loss, we are sorry that somebody has lost a member of their family, a close friend, whatever it is. Maybe it's not totally from the heart, especially if you don't know who that person is. But it doesn't stop us from feeling so. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I loved my dad dearly. There was an element of me that it was the biggest relief when he died, because he'd gone through 4 lots of cancer, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, the whole lot. And it was just so good to see him stop suffering. And I love Neil Donald Walsh's comment, it's not the day you die, it's your continuation day. So there's a part of me that we've all got to die, but people get unhappy. And of course they're sad. They're going to miss that person. So I don't know whether that's your comment, Janine, but Janine, I'm coming back to you.
So Sarah, a lot of times people will say they're sorry to somebody who's lost somebody because they don't know what else to say. So as well as being sorry for that person because they've just lost a family member or a loved one, they're also sorry that they have nothing else to say because they're at a loss for words. So the sorry's kind of twofold. That's been my interpretation of it when I've witnessed that happening. They're very sorry that they're at a loss for words, they're stumped, and they're sorry for the loss. But I'd just like to actually get back to what Pat said before about most people not listening well. They listen to respond and not just listen to receive. And I totally agree with that, because for most people, they're standing there triggered by something that the other person has said. And so by triggered, I mean it's taken them back into a memory or a feeling of their own by having the conversation with somebody. So they immediately go into that area of their mind or start reliving that story. And in that moment, they just want to get their piece out. So, and then the person right because they're triggered in their own stuff and they haven't heard what the other person's saying. They will come back more often than not with, oh, I'm sorry, because they've got it all wrong. But that's what happens in that moment, is my observation again, is I've watched many people, Pat's right when she said most people, because people need to learn to listen. Right in the moment, to bring themselves present to that moment in that conversation and hear what the other one's saying, rather than be triggered into something of their own and end up having to apologise because they really weren't present in what was being said. So that was just getting back to what Pat put up there before.
Yeah, no, and so true. And we have got a couple. Whoa, right, okay. We've got a few comments coming up here. Janine, I wonder if we said sorry even when we are not wrong, how that would allow open growth for both parties. She's also, all right, that comment's gone up twice. So, okay, okay, and I know we've got a question from Gemma, who's actually here in the UK watching early. Bless you, Gemma. So we'll come back to yours, Gemma. Comment on that. So it's the sorry, but allowing the open growth for both parties. So Janine, should we come back to you?
Sure. Well, that's absolutely correct. If I was in a conversation with somebody and I said that I was sorry, even if I wasn't wrong, well, there's learning in that for me. For a start, am I honouring myself in saying I'm sorry? Why am I feeling that I have to say sorry in that moment if I deeply down know that I'm not in the wrong? What part of me is there self-worth that's coming up there? Am I afraid of confrontation, so to try and smooth it over, I'll say sorry. So absolutely, there is learning in the fact that I would say sorry in that moment when I truly knew that I wasn't wrong, and that's an invitation for me to go into that place in myself and see why. For the other person, well, I'm not sure about the growth for the other person. I'm the one that actually said the sorry when I wasn't really feeling it. So it's really more for me. That person, it would depend whatever they're in. I can only own my own stuff in that conversation. So that would be my answer to that one.
Okay, and Linda?
Yes, I sort of agree with Janine. There are times when we say sorry in a situation and maybe follow it by some form of conversation. I think one of the things that you were saying earlier is that so many people, there is that wonderful quote that says, you know, are we listening or are we waiting to ask a question? And so many people get halfway through what you're saying and then decide that they have the answer for you. And I would probably say something like, if they interrupted me halfway through or something like, sorry, I didn't quite hear what you were saying, or I'm not really sure how I would react to that, because of the interruption means that the whole sentence, the whole listening experience isn't happening, like Janine said. And I'm very careful about using that word, because like Janine said, if I'm using it, what am I doing for myself? Am I truly in my truth and my reality if I'm actually using that word? And am I using it in its strength, in its positivity? Or am I using it as a throwaway line to get someone's attention? There's the sorry but thing again. So, and justifying why I'm saying what I'm saying. So I'm really careful when I use it, because it's, like Janine said earlier, it's got to be genuine. And if I feel I'm sitting in that place, then I would go back to why do I feel I need to apologize? What have I done, said, created that's caused an upset in someone else? That means, maybe I haven't come from my truth. I've come from my reactions, and also from my cultural belief system. Some of the things are going to clash, because we're all unique in the way we're brought up, our environment we're brought up in. So we're all unique, and we all have our standards. We all have our top 10 list of what's right or wrong. And so my right and wrong may not be someone else's right and wrong. So coming into that sort of neutral space, or not agreeing or disagreeing with their justification of their belief system, their religion, their standards of what is required in family tradition, what is required when you go into a work situation, and people blame it on integrity. But, integrity to a lot of people may or may not be there. And then you start getting into reactions and sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Gemma says, hi all, watching and listening from UK. It's British to say sorry. Do you think we are the worst offenders of using the word carelessly? Well, that would be good to know, because, of course, I'm sort of English, so I know that we use it a lot. And I know I've also sort of had words with people from foreign countries, more with please and thank you than with sorry. And it's just like, well, you're not brought up to use them. And Pat also comments, yes, Gemma, John Cleese perfected it. And I know I've got a couple more comments up here, but so I don't know whether you've got a comment you want to make on what Gemma says, because is it just a British thing? I'm just trying to think. I've spent time in the States, but I don't know about anybody else, but I suppose I've had it so ingrained in me to say sorry that I've bumped into inanimate objects and apologized. I've had people, but I think that's the truth of it. I think we have, because it is so ingrained. If somebody bumps into you in the street, your immediate reaction is to say sorry. It's not necessarily your fault, in that absolute habit of saying sorry. So you totally, you hit the nail on the head, Gemma. If we've been brought up to say please, thank you, and sorry, we do it almost. That sort of sorry is said without even thinking.
Can I say something?
Let's come back to you. Yeah.
See, I don't believe we're saying sorry to anybody else. I think we're saying sorry to our body because we bumped into an inanimate object, or we bumped into another person. So we're saying sorry for not being conscious in that moment. You see, we weren't present, otherwise we wouldn't do it. It's like falling off the curb, or as you say, bumping into somebody, or standing in front of a car, that's going past. We're actually saying sorry to ourselves, I believe, because we've not been conscious, we've not been fully present. And so hence we have bruises on our knees and sprained ankles and anything else that comes from that not being focused on that moment.
So in other words, allowing ourselves to say sorry. And this was a comment I wanted to sort of make, is about, should we, one of the most important people to apologise to in so many cases is ourself. And we don't apologise to ourselves enough. Because we're apologising to others. So I actually like the way that you've said that, Linda. Maybe if we think about that apology as being to ourselves rather than to another, then it makes it actually much more acceptable to me. So, Janine.
I believe that we forget about ourselves. How often do we say, consciously, do we say to ourselves, I am so sorry? And it comes down to self-worth, Sarah. Do we feel we're worthy to be said we're sorry to by ourselves? Worthy of our attention? So the person who gets it the least, a beautiful apology, is us to us. And we can say it out to somebody else very, very easily. But, in allowing ourselves to feel the energy of a self-apology, the healing that takes place throughout our body, in our cellular structure, in our mind, is amazing, is deep. And it's when it's genuine and we hold ourselves in an energetic embrace and we deeply say, I am so sorry I thought that of myself. I am so sorry I said those words about myself. I am so sorry I fed that into my body, or I took myself to that place when I knew I shouldn't. There's so many occasions that we could say we were sorry to ourselves. And, there's a big area there. We could go into self-love here, but that's a massive topic. So saying sorry to self is just a tiny part of that. But, yes, this is getting right into my area now.
Brilliant. Linda, did you want to add to that?
No, I mean... the only saying that came to mind then is, love is never having to say you're sorry. That's the opposite, I think. But,
Yeah.
And so it's loving and honouring ourselves so much more than what we do. Yeah. And, from my perspective and the way I love to laugh at my antics and the things that I create in my mind, or the stories that I tell myself. So I'd love to think I love myself enough not to have to say sorry to myself. But I do smile and hug at the same time, myself as well as other people.
Right, we've got a couple more. Trisha Rose says, Janine, one would hope that, would allow open growth for both parties. I very rarely use the word sorry unless it is my truth. So that's brilliant. And we've got a couple more comments here from Pat as well. And it takes two to have the conversation, whether it's a good or bad conversation. Absolutely. If we don't react, then there is no conversation. For some people, it's like they apologise for being there. Yeah. Absolutely. That's to me, that's down to the insecurity of the individual, and I know what that feels like because I've been there. Love means never having to say you're sorry, which is what. Okay, she's put a comment afterwards. True or false? And I get that. I really do, because I do get the love. Love means you never have to say sorry. But actually, there are times when you allow yourself to react to others. Let's just go into that. It's about, let's stay with the self, is my feeling, and then we must come to a close. Let's stay with self for a minute. You allow yourself to react, and hopefully what you do is love yourself enough to forgive yourself and say sorry to yourself. And I think, yes, this is where sorry becomes about forgiveness. And forgiveness, I mean, maybe forgiveness is the stronger. I apologise, but I forgive myself and I forgive you for this whole mess, if you like. So I think we're going to have to go into final comments here. So Linda, let's come back to you. And what would you like to add to that, and any final comments?
I think it's an interesting, that's why I put the quote out there, because love is never having to say you're sorry. I thought it was quite controversial anyway, although, you know, who's the love for? Is it for the other person or for yourself? And what does it mean? And there's a huge word. We've got nothing between like and love, so it could mean so many things, really. And for me, to be conscious of the word sorry, and like I said before, if you hear yourself going sorry, but for me that's a way of going, you know, am I really? I'm just justifying who I am, and do I actually need to justify who I am to anybody else but myself? You know, so it's being conscious of, before, overused and overpowered word as a way of getting out of something as well. Yeah. So to me, it's being conscious and not owning somebody else's expression on their face. That's not your job. Your job is to own your own face and your own voice.
Absolutely. Thank you, Janine.
I would just like to finish by just reminding people, those that have heard it and those that have never heard it, letting them know about the ancient Hawaiian prayer, Ho'oponopono. So this is, you've probably heard this, Sara, this is an energy that it doesn't matter what situation you're in, it doesn't matter what you're up against. If you were to say this prayer, the energy of it, all, and that is, and it comes from the heart as well, and that is, I am sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's all said, dead. And feel the energy of that. It's gentle, it's soothing, it's clearing, and it touches deeply.
Absolutely. We had a program about that. So there, if anybody sort of wants to know more about that, we've had a program about that. We've got a few more comments here. Janine says, saying sorry is love.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yes, we teach children to say sorry. That's Pat. And we do teach children to say sorry. And it is right, because sorry, unfortunately, occasionally does need to be said from the heart. And we're not saying it doesn't need to be said. It's just, I think it's, as we've said, it's overused. And Tricia Rose says, working with our inner child with saying I am sorry for many areas of our lives as we were growing up. So sorry here is excellent. I do loads of inner child work. And that's, yeah, as we've said, there's some other things we said, that's a whole other topic. Inner child work is a whole other topic. You know, sort of, and I think that to me just goes back with apologizing to self, and loving yourself enough. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us this week. It's been wonderful, great conversation, loads of lovely comments. Thank you guys for those. It's really great having everybody with us. Next week we are back to 7:30 p.m. UK time, and I have been given a heart and mind meditation, which from everything I'm getting for it at the moment is going to be so powerful. It really is, for those that do it. So I really hope that even if you can't join us live, that you will join and experience that at some stage via the replay or via YouTube, which it will go up on. This program is going up onto YouTube as well. And what I'm going to do, for those of you that are watching live, if you want to know more about Linda and Janine, Their bios and their website addresses are on the About Us page of the Gift of Healing TV website. So please do go there and check those out. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm about, as this finishes, to go and put them under so that you can find out more about these lovely ladies sort of in the future. So please think about joining us again next week. And I have a sound bath for you at the end of the month as well. Because for those of you that know me, I'm into toning, into sound. I love sound energy. So I'm offering a sound bath to folks at the end of the month. Have a wonderful week. Happy Christmas and New Year to you all. Oh, excuse me, throat's going. Thank you. Thank you to Linda. Thank you to Janine. Thank you to all of you. Love, peace and light. Have a wonderful week. Namaste.